Okay, go ahead, Rohit.
Great. So welcome everyone to Mind Your Language, which is a quiz on etymology, grammar, puns, nomenclature, and other linguistic heirlooms of languages. Quick summary of the rules. Three short written rounds of three questions each. You guys can send me your answers for a written round, combined answers on Discord. 24 drives across three sets of 8 questions. We only have bounce, so plus 10 on bounce, and part points as mentioned on the slide. QM discretion will be final, and just a friendly reminder at the end, don't be evil. Right. So since we have sufficient representation from each of the 5 teams, we'll start with the first written round. Right. So the first written round is called English, which is 3 questions on English words of Indian origin.
Just hold on, Rohit. A couple of people will be joining. I'm also posting the link on Twitter so people can follow using the YouTube stream. So just
Sure.
one more second, 1 more minute.
Sure.
Yeah, you can be ready to start. I think I'll just let you know. I'll just post the link on your Twitter.
Sure.
Do you have a Twitter account I can tag you on?
I am not active on
You're on
most
not on
social.
Twitter.
Yeah.
आठ के बाद कुछ काम है ओ सॉरी
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we'll start with the first written round, which is English, which are words of English words of Indian origin. So 3 questions, 10 per question. The first one. So this variation of an item that itself gets its name for the French for head cover comes from the Hindi word for tying. The word traveled through Portuguese to arrive at the form it is used in today. The word is apt since it pretty much describes what one has to do with this piece of clothing, which comes from the Hindi word for tying. Right? So the apt name for a piece of clothing, which comes from the Hindi word for tying. I'll circle back through the questions once. I'll move on to the second one. At any point, be it dries or written rounds, if any of you feel that I'm going too fast or too slow, please let me know. So the second one, this 7-letter informal term is used to refer to England or Britain and was mainly used by soldiers during World War I and World War II. Over time, it slipped into military slang to refer to injuries that were damaging enough to merit being shipped back to England. The words Indian progenitor refers to people of foreign but primarily British origins instead of referring to the foreign land itself. So you can either give me the English 7-letter term or the Indian 8-letter term from which this English term comes. Used to refer to England or Britain.
Rohit,
Yes.
On Discord, you can click on the disconnect button to disconnect from the voice channel. I think what's happening is you're getting messages and there's a ping sound
Oh, yes.
being heard on. I think both
Right.
of us were doing that. So I've disconnected. You can also do the same.
Okay.
You can see like a telephone button there just above your name.
Right. Okay, you removed me.
No, I went. Yeah. Now continue. You can. Sorry.
Okay.
I just removed you. Yeah.
Great. Okay. So yeah, 7-letter term used to refer to England or Britain. You can either give me that or the Indian word which refers to people of foreign origins. So either term will do. I'll move to the third one. So this class of products that most of us use regularly comes from the Hindi word for a head massage, which itself is derived from the Sanskrit term chapati, meaning to press, knead or soothe. Simple enough, what class of products whose manner of usage or application is similar in appearance as its word of origin, which is the Sanskrit term chapati, meaning to press, knead or soothe. Or even if you know the Hindi word for head massage, it's a lot closer to the answer I'm looking for, more so than the Sanskrit term. Right, so I'll quickly just cycle through the questions. First one, I'm looking for an item of clothing, aptly named from the Hindi word for tying. Second word, second term, 7-letter informal term used to refer to England or Britain. You can either give me that or the 8-letter Indian term from which this English term is derived, which refers to people of foreign origins. And the third one is this class of products that most of us use regularly comes from the Hindi word for head massage and whose manner of application is similar to its word of origin. So, okay, I have bounces from teams 1, 2, and 5. Three as well. I'm waiting for team 4 response. Team 4, I'm waiting for your answer. Okay, just want to clarify with team 4, you've sent me one answer. Is that your only guess out of the 3? Okay, you're sending me, so just send it all at once. It's fine. For the next written round, just send it all at once. I'll look at this for now. Okay, I'm guessing team 4 has sent me all their answers. Right, so in case anyone wants to go for it here, with the first one would be
Bandana.
Yes, so this is bandana from bandhan or bandana. The second one,
Blighty and Vilayati.
yes, so this is blighty, which comes from vilayati. And the third one,
Shampoo and Chumpy.
yes, this comes from this is shampoo, which comes from champi. So team 1 gets 30, team 2 gets 30 as well, team 3 gets 10, team 4 gets 20, team 4 gets 20, and team 5 gets, team 5 gets 30 as well. So everyone's off the mark. That's good.
Rohit, before you continue, I'm still hearing this ping noises. So maybe you need to turn off your notification settings on Discord. So if you go to Discord, right on top there will be this QFI Discord server, and there will be a
Right.
small arrow near that. If you just click on that,
Right.
can you see QFI Discord server?
Yes, yes,
Yeah. So go into notification settings and just mute the server.
I've done mute QFI Discord user.
Yeah, I think it should be okay. Go on.
Okay, yeah. So just a recap. So team 1 on 30, team 2 on 30, team 3 on 10, team 4 on 20, and team 5 on 30. So now we'll start the first round of drives. So 8 questions plus 10 on bounce, and part points as on the slide. First question to team 1. So a certain group of people profess this practice for a much larger variety of transgressions beyond just the one that is known to us from literature. Some of these transgressions, for example, were blasphemy and drunkenness. We are most familiar with one such variation. So what practice am I talking about? Or alternatively, where would we have come across it? So we are aware of probably the most famous variation of these, but there were other such transgressions as well where this practice was carried out. For example, blasphemy or drunkenness. So what practice am I talking about? Or where would we have come across it? So there's no pumps. Questions open to team 1. After maybe 45 seconds to a minute, I'll move on, and then on the pass, I'll wait for a slightly shorter time.
If any of the participants are unable to talk on Zoom, or you're muted or something, let me know. I'll unmute you. I think I've done it for everyone, but in case someone is still muted in the call, let me know. You can ping me here or on Discord or on the WhatsApp groups.
Okay, team 1. Do we have an answer?
Yeah, I'm in team 1. We will say this is the Scarlet Letter. From the novel, Nathaniel Hawthorne novel, there it is for adultery, and it's also done for other transgressions.
Sure. I think, yeah, that will give you full 10 points. Basically, 1 second. Yeah, so basically the practice of they used to sew on the letters which signified the nature of your crime as punishment. The idea was you were paraded around and everyone knew what crime you had committed. The most famous one that we are aware of is A for adultery from the Scarlet Letter. So simple enough. That gives 10 points to team 1 on the bounce. Just give me a second. I'm checking if the bot works. Yeah, okay, it's working. Cool. So next question to team 2. Speaking of clothes, 2 questions with sartorial etymologies. First one, this phrase has its origins in the fact that fabric can be colored at various stages. The woven fabric may be colored at the final stage, or the fibers may be colored before weaving. However, when the raw material itself is colored, it is absorbed at a fundamental level and is least likely to fade or change. What phrase, which indicates steadfast and unwavering support, comes from the latter practice? Second one, this archaic noun and much less common, which is the noun form of this word, refers to the inferior quality fabric made from leftover cloth clippings, which is usually used to make rags or mattress stuffing. So the low quality connotations of this meaning of the word eventually has now spilled over to a much wider context, and this word is today mostly used as an adjective. So what is the word? Which comes from the word for inferior quality fabric made from leftover cloth clippings. Okay,
so
team 2, yeah.
yeah, so for the first part, our guess is dyed in the wool.
Okay,
And the second part, we will say um, patchy, so in patches or patchy.
okay. Fine. That was team 2. Team 3.
For the first part, we also say it's dyed in the wool.
Okay.
For the second part, we're just going to be, this is the word plain, Plain.
Plain. Okay. That was team 3. Team 4. Team 4. Do we have a guess? Team 4.
Just a second, Rohit. I think they're trying to pounce. I'll let them know that they can't pounce.
Okay. Okay.
That's a question.
It's
Question
with team
is with
4.
Team 4.
One of you please answer. Team 4. Bibin, Narendran, Ketna. Okay, just you can pass now. They say they're not
Okay.
able to answer on the mic for some reason.
Excuse me, can you hear me?
Yeah, please do so.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
So my teammate saying, and second part of the answer is Shodi.
Okay. And
It's
first part?
So we don't have a guess for the first part.
Okay. So then I'll close the question between team 2 and 4. You should have just stuck with the team 2's guess for the first part. So the first phrase is dyed in the wool, which is when you dye the wool itself, the color sticks for a longer time, and that's where you get the phrase. The second one is shoddy. So that is 5 points to team 2 for getting dyed in the wool and 5 points to team 4 for getting shoddy. Next question to team 5. Okay, so La Miserable contains, alongside its main plot, various digressions on numerous topics. These are mostly Victor Hugo's meditations on topics that caught his fancy. One such digression is on convents, their history and place in society. Aware of the fact that this section had little bearing on the main story, Hugo decided to name the particular chapter something that we use even today for information that may or may not have a bearing on the main conversation. So what did he name this chapter? Question is direct to team 5.
Okay, shall we guess? Team 5.
Team 5, yes.
Srinath, are you guessing or shall I go ahead?
Go ahead, go ahead.
We'll guess miscellaneous.
Okay, good guess. Not miscellaneous. Team 1.
We'll guess tangent.
Okay, that tangent was from team 1. Team 2.
I think yeah, go ahead.
Is this non sequitur?
Not non sequitur. Team 3.
Is this an interlude?
Not an interlude. Team 4.
Okay, we are going with red herring.
With?
Red herring. REDHERRING.
Red herring. Okay. Good guess again. Nobody gets it on the ball. So basically, since this was not really part of the main story, so to speak, he named it parentheses. Since we have brackets conveying information which are maybe additional and not necessarily part of the main conversation or the story, so to speak. So the chapter was called parentheses. Okay, so we'll come back to team 5 for the next question. So 3 questions on phrases from a common origin. Used to confirm the veracity of a betting tip, this phrase denotes that the outcome of a certain event has been communicated by a participant of the said event, meaning it is irrefutable. What phrase? Part 2. Apparently, one of the ways to determine the age of a certain creature is to measure the recession of its gums. The more pronounced the recession, the older the creature. This phrase, used today in a wider context, denounces this practice in the event that such a creature is gifted to you, recommending that you appreciate the gesture without trying to ascertain the value or health of the creature. What phrase? And the third one, the above practice of measuring this creature's age gives rise to another phrase which refers to those advanced in years, alluding to the fact that these creatures would have highly recessed gums in old age. So what phrase comes from this idea? So looking for 3 phrases, all from related or a common origin. Question to team 5. Team 5, do we have a guess?
Should I guess, guys?
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
So I'm the first one is straight from a horse's mouth. Second one, don't look at the gifted horse in his mouth. Basically, don't count the number of teeth in. And the third one is
Third one is related to the age of the horse. So you can tell the age of a horse by looking at its mouth.
yes.
So that's the third phrase, is it?
Oh, you want the phrase, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
From the horse's mouth.
Okay. Okay. So that was, so you're saying first phrase is from the horse's mouth, second phrase is don't
No,
look
no,
a
no.
gift horse.
Third one is C is from the horse's
No,
mouth.
Gopal, sorry. Straight from the horse's mouth is number 1. Don't look a gift horse in its mouth is the second one.
Okay.
And third one, practical measuring. Yeah, you can say that you can tell the age of a horse by looking at its mouth, something like that.
Okay. Okay. So I'll move on to team 1.
Yeah, okay. 1 and 2 are as they said, and the third is long in the tooth.
Is the full complete answer. So when you have recessed gums, your teeth look longer, which is why that's why you get long in the tooth from. So straight from the horse's mouth, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. And the third one was long in the tooth. So that is 6 points to team 5 and full 10 points to team 1. And next question to team 2. So on the right is a poem called A Very Dash Man, whose subject is not lacking distinctive or interesting features or characteristics. So the poem goes, I am such a dolent man. I aptly work each day. My acts are all basilic. I have just ain't things to say. My nerves are strung. My hair is kempt. I'm gusting and I'm span. I look with Dane on everyone. and am a prudent man. I travel cognito and make a delible impression. I overcome a slight chalance with gruntled self-possession. My dignation would be great if I should diligent be. I trust my wagons will bring an astrous life for me. So, if you get what's happening in the poem, using that, give me the title of the poem or just fill in the blanks. So the poem is called A Very Dash Man, whose subject is not lacking distinctive or interesting features or characteristics.
Okay, so we'll say our guess is descript. So poem is a very descript man.
We'll give you the full 10 points. So the whole idea of the poem being you take words which, so they are called absent antonyms or unpaired words, which only exist in one form. The whole play is on those kind of words, and therefore the poem was called a very descript man. So full 10 points to, a full 10 points to team 2 for getting that. Right? Yeah. And next question to team 3. So, derived from the Greek for short poems, this word was first used to describe the poems by Theocritus of Syracuse, which were about the quiet, serene, and pastoral life in rural Greece. His subject matter was often contrasted with that of another individual to showcase the two distinct styles of Hellenistic poetry. His style was imitated by many poets across the ages, ranging from Virgil and Goethe to Tennyson and Nietzsche. Tennyson's series called Dash of the King was, dash is same as the above word, was interesting in that he tried to tackle a subject matter known for action and adventure and tried to represent it in a quiet, reflective manner. Over time, the word has been transplanted to describe works of music and art which convey the same sense of quiet simplicity and rural serenity. Today, the word is most often used as an adjective with a suffix attached to it. So, what is the name given to this genre of poetry? Is part A. Which other individual was Theocritus's work contrasted with? Is part B. And part C is who or what was the subject matter of Lord Tennyson's series? Looking for 3 parts. Direct to team 3. Yeah. Team 3, do we have an
Yeah,
answer?
we're just discussing the third part. Just give us.
Okay, do you have an answer?
Okay, we're going to say the genre of poetry is called idyllic poetry.
Okay.
The individual his work was often contrasted with is Homer.
Okay.
And who or what was the subject? We're going to say is going to be the succession of the king, because it's usually very brutal and bloody.
Okay. No, so I'll clarify the question. You can go for the third part again, or in fact the entire answer if you want. The blank is the same as the word, the genre of the poetry. I've blanked it out because it's the first part of the answer. But
okay.
So the blank is the same as the first part.
Okay,
so, if you're,
3 is idyllic then.
Okay, so idyllic of the king. Okay,
and
fine.
Wait, 1 second. Where subject matter, and we're going to say it's also about King Arthur. So that's all our.
So okay, you're saying idyllic, Homer and King Arthur.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll give you the full 10 points is what I was looking for. So they're called idyls, but I'll give it to you for idyllic. And that's where you get the term idyllic from the short Greek poems called idyls. Theocritus's work was often contrasted with Homer to show the two extremes of Hellenistic poetry, and the subject matter that Tennyson tackled through idyls was the story of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. So that is a full 10 points to team 3. And the next question to team 4. So the Great Vowel Shift was a series of changes in English pronunciation that took place between 1400 and 1700, beginning in southern England and eventually influencing all dialects of English. So linguists theorized that GVS, was the Great Vowel Shift, was kickstarted by mass migration of people from northern England to south and east England, which led to the melding of cultures and accents. What caused this mass migration? Due to the lack of audio recordings, linguists have had to rely on other ways to estimate the old and new pronunciation. What is the most popular way to try to estimate old and new pronunciations of the written word? And the last bit, GVS is not exclusive to English. In fact, the phenomenon happened in numerous continental European languages as well. However, the other languages did something which English did not. What did the English language not do, which gave rise to one of the characteristics of the language that is often, I think somebody's, there's a lot of background in somebody's voice channel. If you guys can just mute. Yeah. So what did the English language not do, which gave rise to one of the characteristics of the language that is often pointed out by non-native speakers? So for the third part, I'm not looking for an overtly complicated answer. While the wording might seem a little verbose, basically something simple. While GVS took place in numerous other European languages, English did not do something which the other languages did, which gives a rise to a characteristic of English which is often pointed out by non-native speakers. Right, so 3 parts to the question again. What caused the mass migration which kickstarted the phenomenon? What is the most popular way to try to estimate old and new pronunciations of the written word? And what exactly did English language not do, which gives rise to a characteristic of the language pointed out by non-native English speakers? Question direct to team 4. Team 4, do we have a guess? Team 4?
Okay, we are saying for the last part, we are saying strokes on letters. Okay, the first thing we are saying is because of Black Death, the migration because of Black Death, the plague.
Okay. Okay.
The second part, give me a moment.
What was the third guess? I missed it.
The third part we are saying, yeah, strokes on letters.
Strokes on letters, accents and strokes.
Yeah. So that's our guess. We don't have a guess for the second part.
You don't have a guess for the second part. Okay. That was team 4. I'll move on to team 5.
Now, the first part we're saying the Black Death, the Black Plague, and the third part we're saying, you know, gender for inanimate objects, lay and la, in French. I mean, assigning a gender for objects as well is the third part, which is not present in English. So, second part. Well, one moment. We'll just discuss. Well,
Okay.
I'll give you the.
Okay.
Arun, you want to go with your guess? Sorry. I don't think I'll be able to explain it convincingly.
I'm just going to guess that they only were searching for like French influence in the second was okay. French influence in the later languages. So more vowel-based words than lesser vowel-based words. Well, the old English words are more consonant-based. So
okay, understood. That was team 5. I'll move to team 1.
Okay, the first we're saying Black Death, like everybody else. Second, we're
Right.
saying they had rhyming poems. So you couldn't have audio recordings, but you could figure out the pronunciation from the poetry.
Right.
And the third, English stuck to its old spelling. Other languages moved to be more phonetic, but English spelling continued to have the old method of writing.
We'll give you the full 10 points. That's a great answer there by team 1. So first part is the Black Plague. Second part, like she mentioned, so basically rhyming pairs in poetry, by which you could kind of estimate how words used to be pronounced before versus what words they were rhymed with after the GBS, which could give you an indication as to the pronunciation of the word. And yes, English stuck with the older spellings of the words and did not change the spellings to reflect the new pronunciations, which is why English is notorious for its spelling pronunciation inconsistencies, making it one of the hardest languages for a non-native speaker to learn. Great answer there. Full 10 points to team 1.
A lovely question.
Thank you. And team 4's question, they were the ones who first said Black Plague, right? So that's 3 points to team 4. And the next question, direct to team 2. Just once, can team 1 confirm they're on 60, right? Is the bot not?
Don't worry about that, Rohit. So scores are going to be approximate. So don't worry about that.
Okay, cool.
Sorry about that, but I think if there's some issue with the bot, let me check that. But otherwise, give points when you can. If you've forgotten, that's okay. You can
Sure. Okay, so that was team 1. Next question to team 2. So continuing on the topic of peculiarities in the English language, leading English language scholars in late 1500s Britain were of the collective opinion that the language was becoming too pedestrian and needed to harken back to its classical Latin roots. Given the background of the 100 Years' War, the underlying reason was also to divorce English spelling and pronunciation from French as much as possible. One of the many actions taken towards this purification was the revision of the spellings of certain words to better reflect its etymological source in Latin, instead of its current French-derived versions, which were more practical. So examples of such words which were reflect or changed back to its Latin source are like words like debere or dubitare, whose English-related words underwent this revision. So as a result of this drive 5 centuries ago, a certain vestigial curiosity of the English language persists. What am I talking about? So I've given examples of the Latin words whose related English words underwent this revision from their French-derived versions of the spelling to their Latin etymological roots. So as a result of this drive that was done roughly 5 centuries ago, a certain vestigial curiosity of the English language persists. So what am I talking about?
So our guess is this is basically the silent letters in certain words. For example, island, doubt, etc. So wherein you have the letter, but when you pronounce it, you don't necessarily. You have a different way of pronunciation and a different way of spelling, basically.
Yeah, fair enough, simple enough. That will give you full 10. I was looking for silent B, but I mean, I'll be generous here. I know. I mean, specifically, I was looking for silent B, but since you said doubt as well, I'll give it to you. Basically, words like dubitare in French were pronounced as doubt, but they went back to the spelling with the silent B. Similarly for debt or subtle. So 10 points to team 2, right? Sorry, team 3.
Rohit, do you
Yeah.
mind announcing the closure of pounds before you take the answers? We were going to pounds.
No, we don't have. I think you guys missed that at the start. I said there's no pounds. I've not kept
Sorry.
pounds in this quiz. Yeah, just
Yeah, I
keep
joined a
things
bit
simple.
late. Yeah,
Sure,
my
sure.
bad.
Yeah. Sorry, this
10
was
for
two,
team 2.
2, right? Yeah. Sorry, 10 to team 2. All right. And next question to team 3. Okay, right. So that was the end of the first round of tries. Another written round. It's called Panda. So 3 questions on puns, and obviously spellings matter. Plus 10 per question. So you can send me the answer together at the end. Right. So the first written question. In 2011, social scientist Diederik Stapel of Tilburg University in Netherlands was suspended after it came to light that for years he had fabricated data pertaining to his studies. With his papers being included in reputable publications such as Science, it was a big shock when it was discovered that a lot of his graduate students had never conducted a single experiment during their course. As a result of his fall from grace due to his dishonest actions, Stapel was given a 3-word nickname. What was this nickname? Right? So as a result of his fall from grace due to his dishonest actions, what 3-word nickname was given to Stapel? Second one, since 2009, Sweden has a national online cardiac registry which reports on the outcome of every patient hospitalized for acute coronary syndrome. The idea behind the initiative is to improve the medical community's understanding of how to tackle ACS through building a robust statistical model. What 1-word affectionate name has been given to this program? Affectionate being a clue to help you get to the answer. Right, so online cardiac registry of Sweden. What 1-word name has been given to this program, this data collection model? That's the second one. And third one, recent research has revealed that the traditional practice of using certain creatures to improve soil quality has its downsides. The manipulation of the soil which improves its quality is accompanied by the emission of greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide and nitrous oxide, a fact that was hitherto undiscovered. As such, the phenomenon of using these creatures has been given a name, or the phenomenon that is caused because of the usage of these creatures has been given a name which references these creatures as well as the larger change that their actions are contributing to. Looking for a 2-word answer here. Right, I'll quickly just cycle through. First one, again, a reminder to all, this is a round on puns. So the first one, looking for a 3-word nickname that was given to Diederik Stapel of Tilburg University because of his dishonest actions. Second one, 1-word name given to the Swedish online cardiac registry. And the third one, looking for a 2-word term for the phenomenon that when we use certain creatures to improve soil quality, it leads to the emission of greenhouse gases. Right. So what 2-word term has been used to name this phenomenon? Teams can send me their answers. I have answer from team 2.
Do you mind going back to question 1?
Sure.
Thank you.
So far, I've got answers from team 2 and a guess for one part from team 1, waiting for the others to send in their guesses.
Sorry, we're just guessing one by one.
Sure. Teams 3, 4, 5 to
Just show us 3 again. Question 3.
Yeah, here you go.
Just show us question 3, please.
Yeah, I'm on question 3. I've got answers from team 5 as well. That leaves teams 3 and 4. Okay, I have guesses from 1 to... So team 4 and team 1 to give me a guess for the last part. That's remaining, and then we can... Team 4?
We don't have any guess. This is team 4. Team 4. We don't have any guesses actually. So you can go ahead with the next round.
Okay, we'll just wait for team 1 to give me a guess for the last part, and then I'll close. Team 1, if you have a guess, you can send. Team 1. Okay, I have answers from everyone for all parts. So quickly, so the first one. Any guesses for the first one?
Dr. Doolittle.
No. So Team 1 got this right. Does anyone want to take a gander from there?
His answer.
Yeah. So this is the Lying Dutchman instead of the Flying Dutchman. Second one.
Sweetheart.
Yes,
Sweetheart.
this is the one which everyone, I think the simplest one. This is Sweetheart. And the third one.
Global warming. Warm.
This is global warming. Yes, I was looking specifically for global warming. So that's 20 points to Team 1. Team 2, 10 points to Team 2. Points to Team 3. Team 4. Okay, Team 4 and Team 5. 20 points to Team 5. Right. So checking here. Okay.
This is Team 1. I think you're right. We should be, you mentioned that we should be 60 instead of 50. I think it is right. So
yeah. I think I'll just do that now. Yeah, should be okay now.
Thanks.
Cool. Yeah, so that was the second written round. We'll do an anti-clockwise now. Anti-clockwise round of 8 questions, starting with Team 5. So the first question of the anti-clockwise to Team 5. So this location from a popular literary series was given the name Pig Lice in the book's French translation, as the French lexicon apparently does not contain the words required for an exact translation of the name. So what location could have been called Pig Lice in this literary series' French translation? Question direct to Team 5.
Hello?
Yeah, Team 5, go for it.
We're guessing Hogwarts.
Simple enough, we'll give you the full 10 points. Apparently, the words for pig and hog are similar in French and they don't have an exact word for warts, which is why the French name for Hogwarts can alternately also be read as pig lice. So apparently Hogwarts in the French books can also be read as pig lice. So Hogwarts will give you full 10 points. That's plus 10 to Team 5. And next question to Team 4. So shown here is the trailer of a 2019 movie starring Sean Penn and Mel Gibson, an adaptation of a Simon Winchester book on one of the single largest contributors to the endeavor that this movie is about. So what endeavor is the movie centered on, and whom does Mel Gibson portray?
Inmate number 742, assigned to block 2.
We have been attacked.
And impossible. There is a way. We'll ask them to read. So this is the good doctor. I'm proud to make your acquaintance, sir. I cannot believe my eyes. Aye, partners, word for word. My entire life, all that I pursued has been in preparation.
You think I'm insane? You do experience yourself as being under threat. I only need books.
Our gathering so far, we've only just started.
William Minor will be struck from all acknowledgements.
What are you so afraid of?
Mr. Churchill!
If you believe that every individual life deserves its own chance, you must set him free or he will perish.
When I read, I can fly out of this place on the backs of books. I've gone to the end of the world on the wings of art.
We are linked now.
Brothers, an American and a Scot. One Oxford, one Yale. One brilliant, one mad.
But which is which?
With a concerned eye.
Watch then, and be amazed.
Right? So, the entire movie is about a certain endeavor based on a Simon Winchester book, which is about the Sean Penn character, who was one of the largest contributors to this endeavor. So, what endeavor is the movie centered on? And whom does Mel Gibson portray? The question direct to team 4.
So, can you answer?
Yeah, you can.
So we are saying it's about the Oxford Dictionary, and the Mel Gibson portraying James Murray.
We'll give you the full 10 points. The movie is about the compilation of the Oxford English Dictionary, and the Scotsman that Mel Gibson was playing was indeed Sir James Murray, who was its first editor. So 10 points to team 4 for getting that. And next question direct to team 3. So fulano is a Spanish slang word used as a placeholder when wanting to speak about someone without using their name, similar to, say, a what's his face in English. The word is derived from the Arabic fulan, meaning so and so, and the assimilation into Spanish probably taking place in Moorish times. The Arabic word also made its way across the Turkish and Timurid empires, supposedly entering India via the latter by way of the Mughals. Here it got merged with an existing slang term, which was a corruption of the Sanskrit or Hindi word amuk, which means various or numerous. What term is this supposedly the origin story for? Is team 3's direct. So the Arabic word fulan made its way to India via the Mughals, and it got merged with an existing slang term, itself a corruption of the Hindi word amuk, which means, or Hindi or Sanskrit word, which means various or numerous. So direct to team 3.
Okay, so we're going to say the term is falana.
Okay, I'll pass you. Team 2.
We are passing.
Okay, team 1.
The phrase Farana Damkana.
Will give you the full points. I needed the full term, which is why I could not give team 3 points just for falana. So this is falana dimkana or falana dimka. So the existing term in India, the phrase was amke dimke, which came from amuk, which also meant so and so. So fulano kind of replaced amke in that phrase, and over time that changed to falana dimka or falana dimkana. So 10 points to team 1 for getting that. And the next question to team 5. So, okay, the first Battle of Ypres was the first of 3 big battles to control the coastal Belgian town during World War I. The first wave of German soldiers at this battle were mostly greenhorns from the student corps, who were easily mowed down by the veteran French. In order to justify this disastrous move to the German public, wartime propagandists put a heroic spin on the event, which simultaneously also painted the French in a barbaric light. As part of doing so, a very specific word, Kindermord, was used to refer to the untested German students who had been martyred. The word had intentionally been chosen, as for most Germans, the word denoted automatic connotations of a famous biblical event, which by extension painted the German soldiers as faultless and the French as culprits. So, which event, which also, among other things, is the subject of numerous paintings by many artists throughout history. So, the German propagandists, wartime propagandists, specifically use the word Kindermord to refer to these the amateur German soldiers who were killed at the First Battle of Ypres. So, what biblical event do most Germans have connotations of the word Kindermord with? Is what I'm looking for. You can either give me the more common name of the event, or even if you describe the event to me, that will also be sufficient for points. This is a direct to team 5.
Hey guys, shall I guess something?
Hey, I have a guess, so should I
Yeah,
go?
same guess only I had.
Okay. Sorry, you can go with it.
Go for it.
Okay, this is basically to kill Jesus. King Herod had ordered the killing of all male kids in Bethlehem. So this is the biblical reference. So it is basically child murder, or I would say.
We'll give you full 10 points. This is King Herod ordering the massacre of all babies in Bethlehem, which is known as Massacre of the Innocents. So either the title or the description would have given. So full 10 points for getting that. To team 5. So 10 points to team 5 there. And next question to team 4. So Twang is a 1965 play by Lionel Bart based on a book that he himself had co-authored. A spoof of a literary character's exploits, it was a massive flop and cost Bart his personal fortune. A fortune that was largely made on the back of one of his earlier plays, with his desire to replicate its success being quite apparent to all observers. So what was the previous successful play, and who is the play Twang on? Right, so Lionel Bart had made a lot of money from his previous play and sunk most of it into Twang, and because he wanted this play to also be as successful as the earlier one, there was something which was quite apparent to all observers, that he wanted to kind of replicate that success. So which was this previous successful play, and who is the play Twang on? It's a spoof of a literary character's exploits. Question to team 4.
Okay, so we don't have a guess on the first part. So the second part, we are saying Robin Hood.
Okay, so Robin Hood for the second part. Okay, that was team 4. Team 3.
We're going to say B is Robin Hood as well. And for A, we're going to say it's Men in Tights.
Men in tights. Okay. Team 2.
Okay, so second part is Robin Hood.
Right.
First part, we're guessing Oliver Twist.
Can you repeat your answer?
The Oliver Twist, based on Oliver Twist, the Dickinson character. Or the
Okay, we'll come back to you. Team 1.
So the play is Oliver with his exclamation, and the play is on Robin.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll have to be a little pedantic here because that was the point of the whole question. Team 1 gets the exact answer I was looking for. Because his previous play, Oliver, had the exclamation mark, he added 2 exclamation marks after twang because he wanted the play apparently to be twice as successful as Oliver. And the name of the play is an onomatopoeia on the bow sound, and therefore, yes, it was based on Robin Hood. So I'll have to be a little like I said, pedantic here because that underscores the whole funda of the question. So I'll have to give 10 points to team 1 and 5 points to team 4. Team 4, right? Sorry, to team 3 for getting team 4 for getting Robin Hood. So 5 points to team 4 and 10 points to team 1. And the next question again to team 5. So the dress on the right is made of a fabric called jaconate, a type of light cotton cloth that is usually dyed and waterproofed. In vogue during the Victorian era, it is today used for making bandages as well, due to its waterproofing properties. The material's name originates from the most famous presence in the city where this waterproofing technique and therefore this material was perfected. So where does jaconate come from? Question to team 5.
Just give a second, we're discussing.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, team 5.
Okay, I'm just going to guess this. Since the word jaconate sounds like Jagannath, so is it like Jagannath Puri? The other word is Jaggernaut, and so the answer we are giving is Jagannath, which is in Puri.
Okay, thankfully you did not go way too. I mean, you did not overthink the answer and go with Juggernaut. I was just looking for Jagannath. So this whole waterproofing technique was from Puri, and therefore the material was named Jagannath. We'll give you 10 points. So that is Jagannath. Just 1 second. Yeah. Next question to team 4. So the etymology of this form of poetry or song is not entirely clear, but the most accepted version is that it comes from the Arabic word for a young, graceful doe. The case for this theory is strengthened by the fact that there is extensive Arabic poetry that involves the animal in the context of longing for a lost loved one. On the right is an excerpt from a poem by the 7th century Caliph Abdul Malik. That is a classic example. So what form of poetry or song am I talking about? Simple question. The poem goes, "O likeness of Layla, never fear, for I am your friend today, O wild dash. Then I say, after freeing her from her fetters, You are free for the sake of Leila forever. So what form of poetry or song am I talking about, which most likely comes from the Arabic word for a young, graceful doe?
We are saying Team Force direct, right?
Sorry? Team 4, yes, Team 4.
Yeah,
Team 4.
we are saying it's Ghazal.
We'll give you 10 points, simple enough. This is ghazal, which apparently also the Arabic word ghazal is also the root for gazelle. So simple question, 10 points to Team 4 there. And the next question to Team 3. So the last question of the anti-clockwise tries. Take a good look at this custom machine built by an Israeli design firm, which is built to pick red chilies from their fields. What nickname has this machine been given? So there's no audio. Audio doesn't really matter. As you can see, there's a vast field of red chilies. And this machine picks those red chilies. So this custom designed machine made by an Israeli design firm, built to pick red chilies from their fields. What nickname has this machine been given? Team 3.
Okay, so we're going to say, because the machine is sort of parting the chili field, it's called Moses.
Is the right answer. We'll give you full 10 points. So it's called Moses because apparently it parts the Red Sea of chilies. So great answer there. Plus 10 to Team 3 for getting that. And so that was the end of the anti-clockwise rise. Now coming to the last written round, which is called Bhai-bhai, which are 3 questions on words which share the same word root. So each question will have 2 parts. So here, if it makes life easier, all teams you can just send me each question separately. You don't need to send me all 3 together. It will become very cumbersome. So each question will have 2 words that I'm looking for, right? So you can send me 2 words in each of your guesses. So first one, both these words are derived from the Latin word for a burden. This word on its own is also used in English today, usually when it is placed on someone. So the starting first line wherever I've written is more just a setup for the 2 parts or something to help you with both parts. So the first word here is an adjective usually used to refer to tasks or assignments that are fraught with danger or difficulty and are hence burdensome. The second word uses a prefix which effectively gives it the meaning out of the burden, and the word is today used mostly in a legal context. Right, so both of these words come from the same root, which is Latin word. It's a Latin for a burden. First word is an adjective used to refer to tasks or assignments that are fraught with danger or difficulty. And the second word uses a prefix which effectively gives it the meaning out of the burden. And the word is today used mostly in a legal context. right? I'll go to the second one. Again, both of these words come from the diminutive form of the Latin for head. The first was used by Thomas Jefferson to name a location, inspired by the erroneous belief that the Roman Senate met at the Temple of Jupiter in Rome. So, having heard this story of the Roman Senate apparently meeting at the Temple of Jupiter in Rome, Thomas Jefferson used this word to name a specific location. The second could variously be used in the context of a literary division or the administrative division of an organization, usually local to a specific area. I'll go to the third one. So both these words again come from the Latin for a flock, be it of birds or of people. The first word is an adjective used to refer to the type of person who is agreeable and affable, therefore supposedly having a flock of people around him at all times, him or her. The second word uses the same suffix which was there in the first question as well, which again gives it the meaning out of the flock, effectively meaning that it stands out from the rest. This word's archaic meaning could also be positive or negative, but today it is mostly used to describe mistakes that tend to stand out. I'll quickly just cycle back. So first couple of words comes from the Latin word for burden. First is an adjective used to refer to tasks or assignments which are dangerous or difficult. Second word uses a prefix which gives it the meaning out of the burden, used in a legal context, mostly today. Second pair, both come from the diminutive form of Latin word for head. First word was used by Jefferson to name a location because he had heard the story that the Roman Senate used to meet at the Temple of Jupiter in Rome. And the second word could variously be used in the context of a literary division or the administrative division of an organization, which is usually specific to a small local area. And the third one comes from Latin for a flock. First word is an adjective to refer to people who attract a flock of people around them because of their agreeable or affable behavior. And the second word again effectively means out of the flock. And while this word had positive connotations as well, today it is mostly used to describe mistakes that tend to stand out. Okay, answers are coming in. I'll be marking them as and when they do. Okay, so I have answers from teams 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I have answers from all. Just let me go through them. Right, okay. All right. Okay, so quickly we'll go through the answers. So for the first pair, what are the two words?
Is it onerous and honest?
It is onerous, but the second word is not onerous. The onerous and exonerate. So out of the burden, X is out. So exonerate, onerous and exonerate. Second pair.
Capital chapter.
Yes, this is capital and chapter. And the third one.
No good guess.
So this is gregarious and egregious. Egregious error. So 1 second. That's 20 to team 2, and team 1 in fact got all 3 right. So 30 to team 1 there, 20 to team 2, 10 to team 3, 15 to team 4, and 15 to team 5. Yeah, okay. So coming to the last round of tries. Clockwise tries again. So we'll start with team 1. So French art critic Louis Vauchel influenced the art world.
Score is 130. Yeah.
Sorry?
Our score should be 130. Okay, never mind.
130. Okay, okay. We'll do a tally at the end in case. I hope you guys have kept your score somewhat, but we'll just double check. Yeah. Okay, so French art critic Louis Vauchel influenced the art world twice, once in 1905 and again in 1908. The first time was in a 1905 review of the Salon des Automnes, in which he spoke about entering a room whose walls are adorned by artworks of a certain style. The room also contained at its center a Donatello sculpture of which he approved. Stating his criticism and disapproval of their works, he juxtaposed the sculpture as a Donatello among the wild beasts. So what coinage did this disparaging comment lead to? The second time was in his 1908 review of Georges Braque's exhibition, in which he called Braque a daring man who despises form, reducing everything, places and figures and houses, to geometric schemas to dash. So what word came about thus? Looking for two terms.
This is for team 2?
Team 1. Team 1.
Is it us?
Yeah, team 1, your question.
Okay, Fauvism, cubism.
Simple enough, we'll give you 10 points. This is Fauvism and cubism. So the blank was that he reduced everything to cubes, from where you got cubism. So 10 points to team 1. Next question to team 2. So what name is shared by the two institutions whose images are on the next slide? Is part A. And part B, what word is used to describe a student or a member of these institutions? Alternatively, also used to mean, among other things, a term used by J.J. Thomson to describe particles now known to be electrons in his plum pudding model, and a term used by Isaac Newton to refer to light particles now known to be photons. So these are the two institutions which share the same name. Students or members of these institutions are called by a single word term. This word was used by J.J. Thomson to describe what we now know to be electrons in his plum pudding model. And the same word was also used by Isaac Newton to refer to light particles, which we now know to be photons. Question direct to team 2.
Okay, so we will guess. Our guess is corpuscles. So we have Corpus Christi. Christi is one of the institution, and we also one of a student or a member of an institution is called a corpuscle, and
We'll
that is
give
the
you
term used by.
full 10 points. Yes, I mean, the reason I made the question, I didn't know that corpuscles was used in this context as well. But yes, amusingly, alumni or students or members of either of the Corpus Christi colleges are known as corpuscles. So 10 points to team 2 for getting that right. Next question to team 3. So shown on top on the right is an example of black letter fonts commonly used by medieval monks until the 14th to 15th century. It was the font type used across Europe during this period. However, the Renaissance led to a revival of all things ancient Roman, including the Roman fonts, which are at the bottom. Encouraged by the Catholic Church, Roman fonts slowly replaced black letter across Europe. The sole holdout until recently was Germany. This was due to the influence of an individual who, on principle, despised the Roman fonts from the time of their revival and advocated the continued usage of the Germanic black letter fonts. Who was this individual? And this dislike of the Roman fonts by the German people led to their being used in German religious books for a certain purpose. So, what purpose? Question is direct to team 3.
Okay. So for A, we're going to say this is Martin Luther.
Okay.
And for B, we're going to say, whenever the devil or Satan speaks in the religious books, their text is in Roman font.
Okay, I'll give it to you. I was looking for a broader answer, but since your answer also is technically right, so part A is indeed Martin Luther, who continued to advocate the continued use of Germanic black letter fonts, and all negative words, any words which had negative connotation or was not meant to be viewed positively, were printed in Roman font. So 10 points to team 3 for getting that both parts right there. And next question to team 4. So Queenie Lewis was an English literary critic and essayist who, in her work Fiction and the Reading Public, studied people's reading habits of fictional works over the last few centuries. She wanted to understand why contemporary bestsellers, by contemporary I mean late, early 20th century, she wanted to understand why contemporary bestsellers were no longer what would be considered highbrow or good literature. Her resultant hypothesis was that the rise of a certain literary trend in the early 19th century compelled the writers to compromise on quality to cater to public demand. Advances in technology only served to increase the popularity of this trend and further degrade the quality of the prose. So what was this development? And as per Lewis, why did it cause a degradation in the quality of literature that people consumed? question direct to team 4.
Wait a moment, we are discussing.
Sure, sure.
We are answering like because of popular fiction, the detective fiction, and because of the rise of fiction novels, fiction literature.
The rise of fiction literature. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Moving on. Team 5.
We're just going to say pulp fiction, and it become very cheap to produce paper, and so yeah.
Okay, so you're saying the development is pulp fiction, and why did pulp fiction cause a degradation in people's literary tastes, as per her?
Because it became very cheap to buy books. It became very cheap; everybody could afford, and she was like she herself was very classist, so she felt that poor people must not read or something like that.
Okay, good guess. I'll move on to team 1.
Okay, so basically there was the trends which were there was something like the serialization of content in magazines, which could be carried around by people who could read stuff without going into too much of depth, and you could also have it could be proliferated because now it has become cheap with typewriter and other things. So it's basically those are the trends.
Okay, and why did serialization cause a degradation in the literary output or what people were reading?
Because there is it is not written with one at one go, and therefore you could always have convenience of plot points and
Time pressure, no? They'll keep making.
right. Hello.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, you could have.
Yeah, we're complaining. You had time pressure to keep getting things ready for the next week.
Right. And like our serials, they could have changes in plot points and all that.
Okay, I'll give it to you. I think you were 90% there, and moving it further on would not really have added too much value. But what I was looking for was serialized stories. Yes, to keep readers hooked on and coming back for more, they would alter their plot points. Yes, the idea was they would have cliffhanger endings. So the plot was more in service of having content that hooked people and kept them coming back for more, as opposed to ensuring that the overall quality of the work was great, which was her hypothesis. So yes, serialized stories in periodical magazines, and the whole idea of hooking readers on was what she thought led to a degradation in the quality of literature. So yes, 10 points to team 1 for getting pretty much what I was looking for. So good answer there. Next question to team 2. So founded by Syed Azmatullah in 1927, the Musalman is an Urdu newspaper published in Chennai. Despite having correspondents from cities across India, each edition only has 4 pages. The stars of the newspaper are their 3 katibs who work on a meager salary of 2,500 a month. This article was very old, so this is as of 2007. These are the people that make the Musalman a singularly unique newspaper in the world. The front page is for national and international news. The second and third pages are for local news. And the fourth page is for sports. Some space is left blank at the bottom right corner of the front page. So who are these katibs and what job do they perform? Why is some space left blank at the bottom right corner of the front page?
Okay, so this is probably the only newspaper which is entirely handwritten. All the copies of the newspaper are handwritten by these katibs. And so instead of printing duplicate copies, they handwrite every single copy.
Okay.
And the blank space is left for some breaking news. So before they release it to the public, if something happens, then they basically fill it up in the blank portion and then they distribute it.
Great answer. That will give you full 10 points. So these are the calligraphers or the writers who write the master copy. Not every copy, but the master copy is what they write. So yes, the Musalman is the only handwritten newspaper in the world. As provision, and yes, the blank space is as provision for breaking news to be filled in at the last moment. So good answer there by team 2. We'll give them 10 points. Next question to team 3. So shown here is a Cornish pasty, the staple food of Cornwall residents. And the Cornish pasty has roots back in 19th century Cornish tin mines, where miners used to rely it for their daily sustenance. So the hard outer layer of the pasty meant that the miners could carry it with them with minimal packaging without worry of it breaking open. However, the lack of lunch boxes or any other packaging meant that there was no way to distinguish one man's pasty from another's. So how did their wives work around this problem is part 1. And part 2 is the crimped edge of the pasty served a practical purpose for these tin miners to have their lunch on the go. So how so? How did the crimped edge help the tin miners to have their lunch on the go and not having to stop their work for having lunch? How did it facilitate that? And part A, how did their wives work around the fact that if nobody was really getting lunch boxes or there was no way for people to distinguish one pasty from another, how did their wives work around this problem? Question to team 3.
Okay. So we're going to go with part B first.
Right.
Because they had very little time, we're going to say they didn't have time to actually wash their hands, and their hands were permanently dirty from the mining. So they could use the crimped edge to sort of hold it and then eat the rest of the pastry. So that's the purpose that served. Okay. And their wives, to work around this problem, they used to tie a colored ribbon around the whatever minimal packaging they had, which is why your gifts or your presents these days have those colored ribbons.
Okay, that was team 3. I'll move on to team 4.
Okay, for the second part, it's saying since it's the shape of the teeth, it easily fits in the mouth. The second part. And for the first part, just give me a moment. Yeah, for the first part, yeah, we are passing the first part.
Okay, team 5.
We are going to guess that the wives would put the initials of the people of their husbands on the pastries. That is the first part. Okay. The second part is easy to hold the crimp edge. You can throw away the crimp edge and just eat the meaty part of the pastry because their hands are dirty from all the mining.
We'll give you the full 10 points. So yes, they pretty much baked the name of their husband's initials into the mold of the pastry itself, which is why in a lot of places in Cornwall today, you have these pastries with the initials kind of being a part of the food itself. And yes, the miners could grasp the pastry by the crimp and eat it without contaminating the food with their dirty hands, which meant they could have their lunch on the go. So full 10 points to team 5 for that, and 5 points to team 3 for getting the second part. So 5 points there and 10 points to team 5. Right. And so the next question, back to team 1. So the kestrel, in this case I'm referring to the common kestrel, gets its name from the French diminutive term shekerel or kesherel, owing to the way its call sounds. The word refers to an item that we might be mostly familiar with in the context of toddlers. However, in medieval Europe, especially France, a certain set of people were compelled to make use of kestrels to announce their presence. So listen to the kestrel's call and tell me what is a kestrel and who are these people that were made to announce their presence using kestrels. So that was the call of the common kestrel. Now, kestrels get their name from the French diminutive term kestrel. We might be more familiar with this item in the context of toddlers. However, in medieval Europe, a certain other set of people were compelled to make use of kestrels to announce their presence. So what is a kestrel and who are these people that were made to announce their presence using these?
So we'll go with the rattles of toddlers, and that's the Israel, and then it is also used to indicate lepers.
We'll give you full 10 points. So kestrels get their name from the French for rattles. Rattles or bells would also have been okay, but specifically rattles is the more precise answer. And lepers, by medieval law, as per medieval law, lepers were compelled to carry rattles with them, and whenever they entered a public place, they were supposed to sound their presence so that others could make way and distance themselves socially. So great answer there. Full 10 points to team 1 for getting that. And so coming to the last question of the quiz, which is to team 2. So cephalophores are a subset within a group of select individuals from history. So there is a group of individuals from history. Within that, cephalophores are a subset, named so because of a certain behavior following a particular manner of demise. Because of their classification thus, there are differing schools of thought on the correct manner of their artistic representation, with varying opinions on the placement of a certain element in these representations. So when cephalophores are represented in art, there are varying opinions on the placement of a certain element in these representations. Interestingly, arguably the most famous individual from this select group, which is a larger group of individuals from history, is not considered a cephalophore, as he meets one criteria but not the other. Basically what I mean is, while he did have the particular manner of demise, he does not have the behavior which qualifies to be a cephalophore. So who or what are cephalophores? Who is this individual who was ruled out from being a cephalophore? And the placement of what element is disputed in their artistic representations. question to team 2, looking for 3 parts here.
Yeah, just 10 seconds.
Sure.
Okay. So basically, cephalophores are individuals who are depicted in paintings or sculptures holding their own severed head in their hand. So they are basically depicted as headless, and they hold their head in their hand. And individual who was ruled out of being a cephalophore is, we will say, it is one of the apostles of one of the apostles. And the placement for the part 3, we will say that instead of that particular apostle holding his head with him, somebody else was holding his head. And so that was the difference.
Okay. That was team 2. Team 3.
We're going to say these are particularly the apostles, and the subset is people who are martyred in some way. And the individual who was ruled out, is going to be Judas for some reason. And the placement of the element is, you know how in certain paintings you have the hand sort of signifying how they died, like beheaded or this thing. So that particular placement is what is sort of disputed.
Okay, that was team 3. Team 4.
Okay, the first part, as I said, the statues or the paintings that Ali carry his own head. For the second part, we are saying John the Baptist.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have it just for the fourth part. Sorry, third part.
For third part. Okay. Team 5.
Srinath going for a guess. That's the same thing. We'll also like say it's like saints who have been beheaded. So that is why they are carrying their heads.
Okay. That's for the first part. Okay.
Who is the individual who was ruled out from being a cephalophore? That I'm not sure, but the placement of what element is basically the head. Okay. So the head is either in the hand or some. It's normally in their hands or on the shoulder.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Team 1.
So cephalophores again, saints are who have their heads decapitated, and the placement of maybe the mark of where they were cut or something is what is the element which is disputed in the representations.
Okay, and who was the individual who was ruled out from being a cephalophore?
I don't know. We'll go with Jesus Christ.
Okay. So this was team 2's direct, right? So team 2 got the first part right, which are, so these are saints who are depicted as who have been beheaded and holding their head in their hands. And team 4 got the second part right, which is indeed Saint John the Baptist, in that he was beheaded and he is a saint, but he was not known. I mean, in the lore, he is not holding his head in his hand, so he's not technically a cephalophore. The placement of what element that is disputed is the halo for saints in their paintings. The dispute being whether it should be around the severed neck or around the head, or the head that is carried in their hand. So there are two schools of thought differing along these lines. So that's 3 points to team 2 and 3 points to team 4 for getting those respective parts. And so yeah, that was the last question of the quiz. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And just a quick roundup of scores. I'll read out the scores I have. Admittedly, I might have missed one or two here. In case you guys have a different number, just let me know. I have team 1 at 150. Team 1, any changes there?
It should be plus 10.
Plus 10. Okay. Team 2 at 98.
Yeah, I think this needs to be 108. That silent B question, I think we didn't get 10 points for.
Okay, fair. Team 3, 65.
Sounds right.
Team 4 at 68.
Yeah, fine.
And Team 5 at 111.
Sounds right.
Okay, great. So yeah, that was that. Hope you guys had fun. Thanks a lot for letting me host the quiz. And
thank you, Rohit. That was a very nice quiz. Thank you.
Wonderful quiz, Rohit.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Nice quiz, Rohit.
Great quiz.
Stay safe, guys. See you soon.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Good quiz. Thank you.